Call the meeting to order. It is 7:01.
Thank you. Please rise for the salutation of the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. As I state your name, please respond that you are here. Diana Miller.
Here.
Amy McSweeney.
Here.
Susan Lorcella.
Here.
Sharon Falkowitz. Here. Jerry Weiss. Here. Let the record reflect that absent tonight, Christine Patterson and Chad Henderson. Thank you.
I'd like to make a motion to accept the meeting minutes from the October 8th meeting.
I second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Jerry, you'd have to recuse because you were not party to those meeting minutes, but from Sharon down. Got it? Okay. All in favor?
Good.
Thank you.
Aye. Okay, in Christine's absence, we'd like to welcome our new trustee, Jerry Weiss, to the board. It was a tough fight. He had a lot of competition. We're glad he made it. And I would like to talk very briefly about two of our biggest accomplishments this month, which you are going to hear a lot about from Diana. But they were our cable renewal, our cable contract renewal, and our budget, which we're going to go through. So welcome, everybody. Thank you for being here, and look forward to your questions and answers later. Diana?
Okay, I'm going a little out of order from your agenda. I have a lot to go through tonight, but I'm going to start with our financial report for September 30th. We were budgeted to have a $58,432 surplus. As of September 30th, we have $87,958. Our operating fund budget is at $1,969,000. Snow fund is at $18,012. The water fund is at $6,997. Replacement fund at $841,000. Discretionary is at $399,000, and cash balance, cash and investments, is at $3,591,639. Last month, a little bit of housekeeping. Last month, we were asked a couple of questions about this report. So I went to our accountant to get the answer from him because I did not quite follow it either. And he tells me that the cash balances and the fund balances will not match ever. The fund balances equals the sum of all assets, which includes cash and receivables, prepaid expenses, less any liabilities, which could be accounts payable, accrued expenses, and whatnot. So it's never going to match the cash balance. I think John had asked that, and Paul had asked that. The other question that came up last month was about our resale income, which we have now received through September 30th, $23,940 for our resales through September 30th.
From January.
From January 1, right. Next up, I want to go over our Comcast contract. We asked FSR to negotiate a new contract with Comcast. They came back with an offer that saves almost 90% of the residents in this community over $50 a month off your Comcast bill going forward. Some of you will see a much larger savings. We will now have high-speed internet. It's at 1 gig, plus the modem that you're currently paying for will now be included in our bulk agreement. On top of that, Comcast is also paying us a sign-up bonus, or door fee as they call it, of $395,325, which will go towards our capital reserves. As you know, we were required to update our reserve study, and we did earlier this year. The start date for that is 2025. The study called for funding of $4.1 million in 2025. We were funding at $2.2 million, which left a shortfall of $1.9 million. The legislation allows 10 years to make up this shortfall, which means we had to increase our funding by $190,000 this year. Together with the monies from Comcast and our HOA increase, this year we will be increasing our reserve funding by $554,960. So we're going from $2,216,500 to $2,771,460. And now it brings me to our budget. First off, this board tasked Michael with preparing the first draft of the new budget, and we were adamant that we did not want a double-digit increase again. So first off, I want to thank Michael for all his hard work in accomplishing that. We have a 7.99% budget increase this year, which together with your savings from Comcast, most of you will see a decrease in your monthly expenses for next year. And now I want to point out a few items that have noticeable changes in our budget. The first thing I'm sure a lot of you noticed already is that second line, the cable fee income of $395,000. That's what I just told you about, that they're giving us for signing on with the internet for bulk. The next thing that has a big decrease of $200,000 is our landscape contract. This is a year that we will not be putting mulch out. We had explained that last year that we would not be mulching every year. So it's a savings of $200,000. The other thing that we reduced is our snow fund, or snow removal expense. We dropped it to $100,000, mainly because we have almost $400,000 in a discretionary fund that if we get a lot of snow this year, we can pay for it out of that. We didn't want to have everybody paying for something that we may or may not need. So we looked to see where we could save a few dollars here and there. The other thing you'll notice is you'll see nothing under maintenance payroll. You'll see nothing under clubhouse payroll. Both of those line items are rolled into the management payroll. So all of our payrolls will be together in one line item. The other big increase you'll see is cable TV. That is now at $1.7 million. So it's a big increase, but it's not to our pockets. The other increase that's substantial is our insurance increase. We have been advised that so far we're looking at a 23% increase in the insurance. I think those are all the main categories that would draw questions, but of course we're here to answer any during the question and answer session. And now I'm going to turn it over to Michael for the management report.
Thank you, Diana. Just again, for some housekeeping, the budget was approved in an executive session on 10/29. However, for the purposes of compliance, we will look to ratify that now in the open session. So all trustees in favor of the 2025 budget as it's presented, show of hands. Any against? All in favor of the budget is approved for 2025. Thank you. Okay. I'm sure there's going to be some questions regarding the cable deal and the budget, so I'll ask you to, as usual, please kindly keep them till we adjourn, and we'll be happy to stay here and answer any questions you have. But while I've got your attention, I will speak a little bit about some management updates. The first, in discussing and planning for the upcoming improvement to the HVAC in the clubhouse, all the pool users will be happy to know that we have delayed this project through the end of this month. So all of November, the indoor pool will remain open. However, it is scheduled to close on December 2. I know I sat here last month and told you to schedule it to close November 4, and I earnestly believed that. However, the carrier air handler manufacturing company had a different feeling on that, and the unit will arrive a little bit late. But as a result, we did not feel any need to impact the pool access or operation. certainly during this time. So as we draw closer to December 2, more information will come out about that project, but please, for those who do use the pool, please prepare for the pool to be closed starting on Monday, December 2. It's a good question. It's all right. I'll pretend I didn't hear it. But what I was about to say is it will close December 2 and will likely be closed throughout December. Our goal is to have the pool opened prior to Christmas week. That's not exactly in our control. We have to deal with some weather potential. But the goal would be to have the indoor pool usable for swimming by the Christmas week in December. I'll know more certainly as we get closer towards the December 2 launch date, and then we'll provide periodic updates throughout the month of December, because I know some of you use it recreationally, but some of you also use it therapeutically, and we want to make sure that we're communicating that to everybody here so you're aware of that impact to you. My pleasure. The next few comments I'll make are on landscaping. The recent shrub removal project, which was based on clearing up 2 to 3 years of pent-up work order demand, is complete. If someone had a work order in for a shrub to be removed and it has not yet been removed, please let me know that at the end of this meeting, and I'll make sure that we check and double-check and get that caught up and updated for you. Next, the irrigation. Some of you may have noticed the irrigation's still on. What the heck? It's been very dry, as you know, and it's been very warm, unseasonably so, into this late in the season. The idea that we soil and seeded later in September into October was critical for us to keep the system on and running. And the truth is that the golf course determines when the main will be shut, because they use they get primary access for their greens. So they're still running it through the weekend of the 30th, 1st, 2nd, somewhere around there. So that same weekend that we're going to look to have our last hoorah in the indoor pool will probably be around the same weekend that the sprinkler system is being closed. There's one more repair to a main line that needs to be contemplated on our side of the operation, and we'll have that hopefully resolved by tomorrow with a proposal coming from the irrigation company. But we are aware that the system is still running, and we are aware that it's going to be closed by the end of this month. As I just mentioned, the soil and seed project has been completed for this year as well. Tree pruning, which we would have started probably this week, has also been kicked to the end of the month due to the unseasonably warm weather, and some trees just held a little bit of their leaves a little longer, and they don't start going dormant until it gets a little colder, and you don't want to start regenerative pruning until they're going into their dormancy. So we follow the guidance of the arborists, and they've pushed that project back to the end of November. And with that, hand in hand, is the tree removals. There's a remaining batch of trees that are out for final pricing from contractors. Once we've got that in front of the board and obtained approval, that'll be the last of the larger projects that the community will do for this calendar year. As always, if there's any need you have, please report them to the maintenance office. Donna Richards will enter a work order for you if you cannot do so yourself. And as always, please report any active roof leaks. We're getting to a point where we're wrapping up our capital roof replacements for 2024. But we always do keep some contingency room in our budget. So if something is an active leak and it needs urgent attention, we will absolutely get that addressed. So just let us know, and we'll take it from there. I thank you. I'm going to turn it over for any committee updates. Thank you.
Okay, I want to start out by saying that we are looking for members of the Safety Committee. If you are interested in joining our Safety Committee, which has been an incredible group of people who have been dealing with streetlights and other things that are happening in our community that need attention, please email somebody on the board or get an application at the concierge desk for the committee. But we are looking for active members to be part of the Safety Committee. Since Jerry is now a board member, he is no longer able to be on the committee, and we really need to replace committee members. So anybody who's interested, please, please, we urge you to join. Do you have any committee?
Good evening, everyone. I just wanted to go as a liaison to the Community Activity Committee. I wanted to go over some of the events that we have coming up. January 11th, Extreme Queen. Tickets will go on sale on November 20th. February 8th, Austin City Nights. It'll be a country party band. They will go on sale in the beginning of December. And I hear there might be even line dancing. 3/8, Decades, tribute to the music of the 50s and today. And we have quite a few other tributes throughout the rest of the year already lined up throughout all the way to November. So lots happening. Make sure you get your tickets. And one other thing I wanted to talk about, this Saturday is our fair, but as the liaison to the Concordian, we're doing a Cookies for Charity, which you may have heard of. We have 40 residents who stepped up and baked cookies for us, and we're going to have a charity walk, so you'll come, you'll have a box, and then you can walk and pick out the cookies that you like, and all the money will go to Elijah's Promise in New Brunswick, which is a wonderful charity. And so we hopefully will have the rest of whoever's not baking has to come and buy cookies. So hopefully you all turn out to buy a box of cookies. It'll start at 10 until the cookies run out. Thank you.
Thank you, Sue. I have my order in for all the chocolate chip cookies. Keep that in mind. We would like to thank Phyllis Derringer and the Health Committee for the fabulous job they did during the month of October. They raised more than $2,700 for breast cancer. There was a tremendous amount of effort by Phyllis selling pink bows at outside club activities, and we had a great walk. Many people showed up, as you've probably seen the pictures in the newspaper. It was a fabulous day, and again, thank you, Phyllis. Great job.
Okay, once again, I want to remind you that this Saturday is the Concordia Holiday Bazaar and Craft Fair. We have 46 vendors currently coming in. And I want you to entice you. Each of those vendors has donated one item from their display as a raffle. So when you come into the craft show, we're going to just call it the craft show, you'll get a ticket, and every hour there will be winners of prizes from each of the 46 vendors. There is a grand prize at the end of the day. A local baker, Alyssa's Cookie Jar, has generously donated a tray of 18 decorated cookies for fall. And again, that's part of the raffle as well. So we hope that you'll all come out and join us for this wonderful event. We really think it's going to be fabulous.
You know, I just wanted to, I forgot to mention the New Year's Eve bash this year. We still, louder?
Yeah, talk into it, yeah.
We still have tickets left for the New Year's Eve bash, so if you haven't gotten your tickets yet, I forgot to mention that for the Activities Committee.
If nobody here has anything else, I'd like to hear a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn the meeting.
I second it.
All in favor? Okay, residents.
Thank you. Anyone who has any questions, please come on up to the podium. We'll be happy to answer your questions. As always, please state your name and your address would be helpful. Yeah.
Karen Teichman, 9 John Adams Court. Mike, you just told me that you approved the railing that I've been pleading for 2 years, and I want to thank you and the board for doing that.
Sure. So Karen, thank you. Just for quick, because it was not so easy to hear that up here. So if, for the board members that recall, at our last executive session, we finally obtained a proposal from Candlewood Pools. Yes, for the added pool railing that Karen was advocating for. It's been approved, as I had said, so in the spring when they open the pool, they will retrofit that railing in, and thank you for your advocacy. Your neighbors appreciate it. The board appreciates it as well.
I want to thank you for finally getting it through. I think you're right. Everybody who needs it will appreciate it.
It's our pleasure.
Curiously enough, I am also a Karen. Karen Fitzpatrick. Karen Fitzpatrick, 23 Ben Franklin. I moved in here in October of 2023, so I don't know how all this stuff works yet, but I've been in constant contact with Donna. I have a work order going back to December of last year, and I'm just wondering why it's still outstanding.
What's the work order for, please?
It's for gutters, leaders. My roof and my siding was replaced shortly after I moved in, but the gutters are like 40 years old.
Sure. So the short answer is that it will be replaced. The gutters are to be replaced, and we do have budgetary allowances for gutters. Your roof was replaced in 2023? Or shortly after you got here?
Yeah, somewhere.
So
Probably
the only
beginning of
reason I ask is
2023.
I believe shortly after that is when the board had adopted a policy to have gutters replaced in step with roof replacements when needed and as needed. So it's likely yours was replaced prior to that change in the policy. However, it doesn't mean you're not getting gutters.
Policy, okay.
Right, so it's just a matter of I have to make sure that the gutter contractor gets out there and gets it done. I will follow up with you tomorrow to make sure that that's happening.
I'd appreciate it, because
Yeah, no problem.
the rain is coming down, like, between them. The other thing I wanted to ask is, this neighbor thing. I was told about it, and I was told that I needed to go online and fill something out, and I got a response that indicated that, they were gonna, check me and make sure I was who I said I was, and I never heard another word, and it's been about a year.
Are you sure who you say you are?
I'm not even sure I
I'm teasing, I'm sorry.
exist.
Corey Harris can help with this.
Yeah, she probably have to resubmit again.
Okay.
So I just,
Tomorrow, somebody from our office, likely Corey or myself, will reach out. We'll have to have you reset that, and then we'll make it happen. But that is the process. It is a closed forum, so people cannot just join. You need to be vetted as a resident of Concordia, so that does fall in our office to confirm that. So apologies if it didn't happen. 2024 was a very transformative year for the HOA. It started actually in August of '23, but there's been a lot of transitional policy shifts, so some things unfortunately fell through the crack. It sounds like your gutters and your neighbor application
This is
both
me.
did. I am sorry. It's not how we generally like to treat people. So we'll make sure that we catch both of them tomorrow and get you updated on both.
Thank you so much.
No problem, Karen. Thank you.
probably just send them an email. They probably send it to Joanne.
Hi, my name is Steve Goldwasser, and I am at 28A Edinburgh Drive. I have two questions.
One more time, I'm sorry. What was the address?
Excuse me?
What was your address again, please?
28A Edinburgh Drive.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome, Mike. Anyway, I just want to bring up the irrigation system. Along Edinburgh Drive, there still has not been any activity from the sprinkler system, and the area has been very, very dry, and a lot of the homeowners in that area have been using their water hoses, and obviously their water bills have been going up due to the fact that the irrigation system has not been operative at all. So I'm just wondering what's going on with that.
So I don't have a real-time diagnostic, unfortunately. So what happens now, I'll reach out for the landscaper, specifically the irrigation department. I'll likely be out there with the facilities director. We'll take a look. We'll have one of their reps come, show us the clock, show us what's functioning, what's not, why is it not. We'll kind of get to the bottom of that. At any given time in Concordia's large irrigation system, we have observed anywhere between 10 and 15% at any given time is not operational, whether it's a break or a failing electrical signal. It's not the actual piping, but it's the controls for the system. But either way, I don't know the answer, but I will find out.
Thank you.
So when things like this occur, and this is just true for any of you, if you're observing those areas that aren't getting irrigation repeatedly, report them to us. Don't assume your neighbors are. Just let us know. That way we can make sure that we're keeping the vendors tasked with getting the systems running. If there's something that they can repair, they're able to. A large portion of the irrigation system is repairable under contract. Certain portions are not. They would be outside of the contract, but they still provide us with proposals. So I don't have a definitive answer as to why it's not, but I'll get it from them.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
My second question
Yes, sir.
is in reference to the sporting events in Concordia.
Okay?
I'm just happy to say that one was rectified by one of the sports that I'm involved in, and that's cornhole. There was an issue with people from other developments playing instead of Concordia residents, and there was a waiting list for Concordia residents, but that was rectified by the powers that be in Concordia cornhole, and they changed that, and now we're seeing that the Concordia residents are going forward first. But I'm just wondering, in certain other sports, I don't see that. For an example, pickleball, there's Concordia residents that have to wait where other people from other developments are playing in front of them, and I'm just wondering, should that be enforced? Is there any regulations to that? I'm just wondering what the answer is to that.
So this one I'm a little bit weak on, meaning that I have a lifestyle director, a wonderful guy named John Patterson, who generally fields that type of stuff. And the only other comment I can make is that some activities are controlled by the HOA or sanctioned by the HOA, and others are just like a grassroots campaign of residents that get together and organize their own activity. And I apologize, I should know, but I don't actually know specifically which pickleball activity you're speaking of. Yeah, so I know there's different, I see people playing all times of the day. I'm not sure if there's a group or I don't believe we've got a designated HOA group
No, there's
for
supposed to be-
pickleball.
No, and there's no guests before 10 a.m., I believe it is.
What I'll suggest to you, sir, is, like I said, John Patterson, he's on site full-time, 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. Stop by the office or shoot him a note. I can provide you with his contact info if you like. He'd be better equipped to provide you with some guidance on this. And more importantly, he'd be the appropriate person to report any concerns you have to, then he can filter that to the board. He meets with the board same time I do, which is every other Tuesday. We meet first and third Tuesdays of the month. So he can bring that kind of information into them. And if there's something that needs to be addressed, certainly we'll look to address it.
Okay, I'll meet with him. Thank you very much.
No problem. Thank you. I appreciate the input. Thank you.
Frank Moffa, 6 Ingram Drive.
Hey, Frank.
Hi, how are you? Welcome, Jerry, to the show. This is, could we go over the Comcast contract again?
Sure.
I'm looking at the budget, and the budget, the last line, I guess it's on the first page, it says it's going up from 712,000 to $1.7 million.
Yes.
So we're getting it's going to cost us $1 million more.
Yes, it is.
But
It's approximately $46 a month.
But you said we're getting $50
So
benefit?
yeah, so let me try and walk through it a little bit, right? So your current cable agreement provides you only TV.
Okay.
And that's about $36. The truth is the 712,000 that was budgeted in '24 is a little light. They didn't factor in 5% of escalation that hit them. So the actual spend was closer to around 735, I think. Actually, thank you, 750. We have that data. So that would be renewing at a 5% increase this year if we did nothing. So when the board tasked us to take a look at this, and we reached out for the bulk services agreements department, and we have some folks in our company that do this specifically nationwide.
Okay.
So cable's a very funny business. Anybody who's ever tried to go and get a competing cable, good luck. You have one vendor that supplies you with the utility. So we've gotten a little bit, as a company, we've gotten kind of savvy to this, and we've looked at different ways to create opportunity for communities. We had a pretty aggressive rate on TV, and unfortunately, the cable carriers take the position that there's very little money, profit margin in the revenue on TV these days. And you were about $35, $36 per unit in this place under contract. So they really didn't have much to offer there. But they did bring us some interesting data, and that was that just under 88%, 87.4 or 6, I forget exactly what it was, of the communities currently contracting directly with Xfinity for cable, for internet on top of cable. That average price is $95
Okay.
plus 15.
For the internet, it's fine?
Yes,
$95?
plus
That's
$15 for the
outrageous.
modem, retail. Some people are getting a better deal, others are not. Some people are paying around 100 to 105 with their modem for their internet.
That's crazy.
By adding the internet services to the TV deal, we're able to negotiate a bulk rate of $46 for every unit, including the modem, at 1 gig speed.
Okay.
So now, for example, and I don't know what I'm assuming you have internet at home.
Yes.
Imagine for a moment you look at your bill, you can now eliminate that bill. Is that bill in excess of $46 a month?
A little bit, yes.
Okay. So then you're going to yield a savings.
Okay. I mean, it's going to be like a $20 savings maybe.
In your particular case, okay. In other folks' cases, because we did survey some people, and like I said, and they see it, they know this data because they're the ones creating the billing, so they were able to transparently show us that it was coming in at around $90 plus the $15 modem fee. So it's around $105 that people are averaging. Some people are paying more, some people are paying less.
If you want the premium channels, you're going to pay more.
It's irrespective of the TV. So anyone who is currently contracting with Xfinity for internet, that bill can go away starting in January.
Okay.
So show of hands, anybody paying more than $50 for internet? So the internet goes away. If you're paying for more channels, that stays, that's your choice. If you're paying for a phone, that stays, that's your choice.
You're paying for an extra box,
If you're paying for the modem, that's no longer going to be charged to you.
modem goes away.
Yeah. So that offset does create you're eliminating a utility bill. Now, there is an increase in your HOA dues, yes. But in certain cases, some people will see a greater savings by the elimination of the internet bill than the actual increase in the HOA dues. Does that
So
help a little bit?
Yes.
Okay.
But if I understood what Diane was saying, that our bills would be reduced by $50?
On average, most people are paying $15 a month for the modem.
15.
15 for the, most people are paying $15 just for the modem. And then add to that what you're paying for your internet service. You're paying anywhere in this community, people are paying, some people are only paying $30 for internet.
Okay.
Most people are paying between $50 and $100 for internet alone.
Right.
So when you take, if you're paying $50 for your internet and you're paying $15 for your modem, you're now going to save $65 plus tax and fees on your cable bill.
Okay. But yet the club, as an association,
HOA.
we're paying $1 million more to this.
Yes, we are, which comes out to $46 per person. We got a nice deal. Plus, they're giving us $395,000.
That was the
$395,000.
other question. We're throwing this $395,000 into the budget, but it's a one-time deal.
Yes, it is. And this is a
It goes
one-year
away
budget.
It goes away next year.
Yes, it
How
does.
could we include that in the budget if it goes away next year?
Because it's part of the 2025 budget.
It's a one-time,
But
it's a
it's-
one-time deal.
But Frank, it's income
have
to
to-
the HOA. You have to
We have
account
to
for
account,
income
yeah.
to the HOA.
I think it's, you're counting your horses too early, I think. You know, you're counting your chickens way too early.
This is the 2025 budget, not the 2024 budget, and we're getting that money in 2025. We have to account for it.
So our HOA fees are going to go up by $50? Is that?
No, your HOA fees are going up 7.99%.
Okay.
So if you're, let me just call it 8% to make it easier. If you're currently paying $500 a month for your HOA fees will go up $40.
Okay. So next year, we're getting a $40 increase on an average.
In 2025, yes.
We don't,
Based on that example.
possibly, yeah.
Okay.
If your HOA fees are $400 a month, you're getting a $32 increase, roughly.
Okay. So my other question is, we did the budget for 2025. How come we didn't see a 2024 projected budget, rather than comparing it to the 2024 budget, don't we have a 2024 projected budget?
You have monthly financials that come out that show you
Yeah,
that.
we
That
ha- we
shows you
have
the
up to
year-to-date.
September.
Yeah, they're year-to-date.
Year
So
to
that-
date, but we usually project out the 3 more months to show what what the projected annual is, and
Yeah.
then try to come up with a budget based on the projected
And
annual.
that's exactly what the board did.
How come I don't see the projected annuals?
They're unaudited numbers, and it's not something that gets released. This is what gets released. I'm not sure I understand the question. You want
I
to?
think I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, they-
maybe, and I agree with that. As an accountant,
Okay.
I probably agree with that. Maybe I don't want to put that public, so anybody else, could do that math, I think. One other question that keeps on coming up. Okay, we're finished with the budget and the Comcast. I wanted to ask about the September report.
Okay.
The September report, I mean, if you read it, on the second page, it sounds very favorable. Okay, second page, first paragraph, it says that we were projecting a surplus of 58,000, and we actually have a surplus of 87,000. Looks very favorable. But then when you go down to what's happening in the replacement fund, it's very negative. So the replacement fund started out the year as $1,187,000, and it's down to $841,000, a decrease of $345,000. Okay, and this is supposed to be our capital reserve that we're going to be compared to when we do the state requirements. So the state requirements are going to be $2.5 million. Was it that $2.5 million that we were going to be required?
No. So the legislation that you're referring to requires the HOAs to fund to their reserve study.
Right.
And if there's a difference of more than 10% of what they're funding versus what the requirement is, they've got 10 years to make it up. If it's less than 10%, they have 2 years to make it up.
Okay.
So because ours is 1.9 million, it gives you the 10-year window to make up the difference.
Where do you get 1.9 million?
So the 2025, the first year in the reserve study, the first year calls for a $4.1 million reserve funding of the work that's forecasted and what they suggest as a guideline should be done in 2025 calendar year. We're putting away 2.2. 4.1 minus 2.2 is 1.9. So that's the short that we would have to make up as an HOA to fund to 100% of what the 2025 reserve study requirement would be
Okay.
if we were to fully follow the guidance. So we've got 1.9 million. The legislation gives the HOA 10 years to make that up into your reserve fund. So you have to put away 190 a year over the 10 years to be in compliance with that.
Okay.
So that's where that number comes from. All of this, which I will make add a comment, which probably should have been stated during the body of the meeting, but we're still all here, is all of this is contemplated based on 8 months of capital contribution. We are very confident that we're going to, before this calendar year is done, hit the quorum and achieve 9 months, which will up that number about $50,000 to $60,000. So the contribution of the 554 will be up to about 600K.
Okay.
So that's just
not
an
a
added-
lot of money that's going to bring us up to what it is that we're required.
Makes a big difference.
Okay. So, but the other portion of the financial report, which I don't think it's favorable, and it's not mentioned anywhere, is our cash and invested assets. So that grouping, it was $3,799,000 at the beginning of the year, and it's down to $3,591,000. So there's a decrease of $207,000. So our cash and invested assets have come down $200,000 through September. So we don't mention that anywhere. That we're
Well, it's
spent-
mentioned in the report. I don't,
No,
so,
in the report we say that there's a nice surplus. The second paragraph says, oh,
Okay, I follow.
we have
So-
a surplus of we have a surplus of $87,000. it doesn't mention that there is a decrease in cash and invested assets of $200,000. And there is no report that says there's a decrease in the replacement fund of $345,000. So it seems like we pick up the positives, we don't say anything about the negatives, which I don't see, I don't see that clear.
So, to the one comment about the reserve fund, throughout the course of the year, some projects get done, work gets done, and to be candid, some things have to be reclassed once the work comes in. There was a portion of roofs that were getting replaced through the operating budget, and or conversely, there was work being done that was being billed to the reserve account, which correctively should have been billed through operating. So they'll do some interfund transfers, some of which have happened, and some reclasses. You may see some reclasses, some line items that look like they were way out of whack in August have been straightened out in September. You'll see even more of that in October. As we're going through the budget process, we look at all these line items and make sure all of the classes and reclasses that are needed are done. That called attention to a large interfund transfer that had to happen between the operating and the reserve account. So as I say every month, these are unaudited financials,
Right.
and we're accrual-based finance. I know you understand this, not necessarily everybody else does.
Okay.
So these numbers do tend to change. You may see a surplus one month, you may see a deficit the next month, and it's not entirely because the financial climate here has changed that dramatically. It's just there's some course corrections throughout the year. The best thing, as you know, is to look at it in a longer period of time. So to try and look at it as, a year-by-year basis makes a little bit more sense. But I welcome the questions.
I know there's people behind me, but I have one more
Go ahead, sir.
comment. We're talking about the HVAC system that's being replaced. I don't see that accounted yet in the financial reports. So it looks like we haven't dispersed the money for that yet.
Correct. There's only been little monies that have been spent. Deposit monies, $50,000 I think was spent, and it may have even been calendar year 23 when we first bound this project.
Is that
I'd have to look at it.
expense going to hit 2024 or 2025?
Some will hit 24. Most of it will wind up hitting your reserve account 2025.
Okay, so our replacement fund is going to be hit by this additional 450.
We've been budgeting for it throughout, so we just haven't spent the money yet. So, but we've been accounting for it.
I'm sorry, when you say budgeted for the replacement fund, it sort of
So when we
upsets me a little bit because we don't see the budget for the replacement fund.
So in the 2.216 that was put away in 2024, there's a portion of that that's earmarked towards the HVAC project. So if we're not presented with the bills in 2024, the money's still there. It'll just be paid out in 2025.
All right. Well, thank you.
No
Sorry
problem,
for
sir.
taking up so much time.
No problem. Thank you. Appreciate it, Frank. Thank you.
Hi, good evening. Dawn Grasso, 59D Yorkshire. Two quick questions. The first is I'm following up on my request from last month. If there's been any idea, any thought given to the trash receptacles around the area. When we're walking around, there's no trash receptacles. And secondly, with the holiday season coming up, this is our first holiday season here, do we get a list of workers that we can give tips to, or how does that work? Does a list go out?
So the first question about the trash receptacles, are you referring to pet waste? Is that you?
Yes,
Thank
correct.
you. Yes. Stay tuned. That'll wind up. We do see an opportunity to put them in. Quite frankly, I had to do the budget. Forgive me. It's not an excuse, but I have to prioritize.
No,
And
I get it.
the cable and budget stuff took a tremendous amount of bandwidth in the last 60 days. But that is I'm a pet lover. I have 3 dogs at home. It's a big deal for me. So I am going to advocate for that, and I will get you some pet stations placed strategically throughout the community. So that one's an easy one to take on. It's a no-brainer to me. The other question about the staff.
The staff
Sure.
list.
I'll tell you just an experience. Some communities do engage in this practice where they'll just put together a list of the employees and they just make it available for anybody. It's really at the discretion of the Board of Trustees if they want to put that out. There's no obligation, and I make a point to say this, there's no obligation implied or expressed that says you need to Thank you. To tip or provide a gratuity to everyone who's in service to this HOA is being paid to do so.
Right.
If you want to recognize someone who's going above and beyond, that's certainly very kind. So I will ask my next executive workshop with the board if they're okay with us putting together a staff list for release. I wouldn't, as management, I would not take that initiative without board approval. For decorum reasons mostly, but I don't agree or disagree with the comment. I'll just ask if unless there's a reason that the board feels it's not worth doing, then I would suggest that we would put something together. But again, that's no one is under any obligation to do so.
Right.
I want to make sure I stress that repeatedly.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments.
Hi, Janice Yao. Can you hear me?
A little closer.
25B, James Buchanan. My question is regarding the root removal. I received the email from Michael, and you said that the root need to be inspected. So, and I don't understand why it's inspect. Is it the root in underground or no root on the ground?
Your request to me was to have the roof inspected. Did I misunderstand?
No, my question is I want my root to remove because I have the problem with the trees and
Oh, roots, forgive me.
Yeah, the roots, not the roof.
So I'm sorry, your email said roof, so forgive me.
No,
That may be why my answer did not make sense.
No, my email is a root, but you told me the roof
Oh,
inspection.
okay, well, then forgive me. I
have the email
I erred.
here.
It's a big difference.
email
Forgive
here.
me. Forgive me. What a difference a letter will make. So forgive me. No, your
don't
root
understand.
does not need to be inspected. I will have somebody come out and identify it. It's hitting up against your foundation wall?
Not foundation wall, it's under the ground. The root is still there, but I want to replace my my trees. So, and the root is still there, so I can't remove
Wha-
it because it's too strong.
Will you be home tomorrow? Or
No.
later this week? Will you be home at all this week? Is
Friday, yes.
Friday? Before you leave, if you can just give me, or I'll call you tomorrow, we'll create a time. I'd like to meet you on site so we get exactly what needs to be addressed.
Yeah, can you send me the email or?
I can, yes. We certainly have an email going back and forth. I'll send you a follow-up on that, and let's
Okay.
figure out a time Friday that
Okay.
works, and I'll come out there and see it.
Thank
And
you.
forgive me, I'm very sorry that I misunderstood.
And okay, another question.
It happens, I'm sorry. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Another question is
Yes, please.
For the ping pong. And would you please send us the email if there's no ping pong that day because of the event on the weekend? Because I've been several times on Saturday or Sunday, and all Saturdays is all closed and we cannot play in there. So can you send us the email?
Sure.
and ask-
Jandis, are you on Neighbor? Do you get Neighbor notices from us? Let's make sure. We'll send you a link to make sure that you're getting, because Corey's in my ear telling me we do put those out when that is happening. When there's an interruption to a scheduled activity here, we do put it on Neighbor. But if you're not getting those, then you wouldn't know. So let's make sure you're getting them. That's a way that we
but
could address that.
Sometimes I receive the email from you regarding the other activity, like
let's-
line dancing.
It
or-
should be, yeah, you should be getting them then. Let's make sure that, we'll check on our end to make sure you're getting the communications, and then we'll make sure
How
that
can I
we're
get the
we're
label?
posting them. I'm sorry?
How can I get the labor? So you say
It's
that-
Neighbor, N-A-B-R. It's a website
Oh, okay.
that we generate a lot of communications through.
Okay.
So Corey and I, like I said, he's behind me and I hear him.
all
So
right.
we'll make sure that you're listed on there as a recipient.
Yeah.
Alrighty, I'll follow up with you on that as well tomorrow. Thank you.
My name is Gerald Schwartz, 9A Hillsborough Drive. This is for Mike. Mike,
sir.
how close are we to getting the change in the bylaws? What number do we need?
We need 1170 at 66 and
And
two-thirds.
how
We need
many-
two-thirds.
How many do we have?
I think we're there on votes, but we need 1170 yeses. I think we've received that number of ballots, but they're not opening them until we've,
So you won't know until December 30th?
well,
It's okay.
until I get to where I believe we are. We were short 678. So let me say that differently. 678 people did not cast a ballot one way or the other. So of the people that did, there were about 90% said yes. Believe it or not, about 10% said no. So we need to achieve not just quorum, but it needs to be 66, two-thirds of your committee, 66.6% in favor of, not just responding to. So I am leery to stop the process just because I hit the ballot count. I need to get past that so I can accommodate that margin of no's.
I understand, but
Thank
so,
you.
all right, so with about 5 weeks to go until it's over, is there anything we can do as a community to get the people who haven't answered to answer?
It's a great question. What I will tell you is we will start to really pound the pavement for the last 5 weeks of the year. So as you're seeing those messages, as you're seeing your neighbors, just ask them if they voted. Don't care how they vote, just please get them to submit it. Of
So
course,
if-
I
if-
personally want a yes, but
So if I am in the clubhouse, it's okay to walk around and say, have you voted on the bylaw? You won't throw me out?
I won't throw you out. Please don't harass folks. If they ask you, if there's a group playing mahjong, please do not interfere in anyone's game. But as a matter of conversation, it's a great question to be asking. You're not campaigning, which we have clear policies on, but you are making sure that your fellow association members are doing their part to contribute to the
Okay,
cause.
because I'm going to start hanging out at the clubhouse. and
I look
doing-
forward to seeing you here. Thank you, Jerry. Appreciate it.
Hi, Charlie Tobias, 2 Wexford Drive.
Hello, Charlie.
Hello. A couple of questions. I want to expand on the cable TV contract that we have. First of all, how long is the contract for?
5 years.
Okay. Is there an escalation in it as we had before, 5% or
Correct.
whatever?
Same
Okay.
5%.
Okay. The internet speeds, I heard you say gigabit. Now, gigabit is a title. Comcast offers 3 sets of speeds to residential. Are we getting gigabit speed for residential?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
They were very clear in identifying that
No,
to us.
that's very good. Okay, I'm not going to nitpick on budget, but I want to go into the reserve fund now.
Okay.
What we see is 800 and change. Is that total cash and CDs or investments?
I didn't bring my my monthly report with me.
Usually has
forgive
been
me.
in the past.
Yeah, but I tell you, there's a large reclass coming. Not reclass, excuse me, interfund. He's talking about the reserve.
Yeah, I also, I remember from last open board meeting, you announced investing in 2 CDs. Correct. I would like to know on whose advice do we do that? I understand FSR is in charge of our management, but FSR is not a broker. Who are we using to purchase our CDs? What financial institution?
So we've got a subsidiary division called FFI, First Financial, First Finance and Insurance. Forgive me, I should know what it stands for, FFI. The gentleman's name is Michael Panisi. You feel free to take a look.
Are they broker-dealers?
You've asked me this in another capacity. I don't know the,
Well,
I
you
don't
know,
believe
It's just
so.
a matter of putting all your eggs in one basket. If FSR is our advisor, but they're using someone else to do transactional work, I'd like to know who that is. In other words, we switched from 2 major brokerage firms, and now we're using FSR, who I don't believe is a broker-dealer. I believe we're using someone to make these purchases, and I'm also wondering who the advisor is on this, because it's nitpicking, but it was announced that we bought a $250,000 CD, a 1-year CD, at 4%. Generally, you don't do that because you are not covered for the interest in the case of a default. And depending on who we're using to purchase this, we may be doing brokerage CDs, which are done with banks and they're FDIC insured. But there's a chance of failure because they're lesser banks, and that's why they can pay the higher rates of interest. So I would like to know who that is. They should not have done $250,000 worth just to be totally covered on insurance, because the interest is not covered on the insurance. Just
I follow the comment, and I don't want to speak out of turn, but what I will do is I'll get you all of our disclosure information on FFI, and I'll get you the information on Mr. Panisi as well. I'm not avoiding the question. I don't have a informed answer to provide you, and I don't want to give you a BS. So I'm just going to get it all for you and send it over to you tomorrow. That I can accommodate. Any of the other questions on the investment strategies and stuff, I'll do my best to answer for you. But if I can't answer it, I'll get you the information that you're seeking.
thank you.
No problem.
One last,
Please.
basically it's a comment, and it's a comment to the board. First, I would like to know who is responsible for answering questions addressed to the site Ask the Concordia Board. I would like to, I've made that request, I've asked that to the board because I've asked a number of questions. Never have I gotten an answer, nor even an acknowledgement. Generally, when I send something to Mike, same question, I get an answer or an acknowledgement. But again, we have a site, Ask the Board. I've spoken to other people who have used that site, and they do not get answers or acknowledgements. Why?
We're going to have to look into that and see what email those questions are going to, because I can tell you, I have never seen any questions come in, and I'm hearing the same thing from my co-members here.
And that question, Corey, who's responsible? Who receives that email?
I
There should be a
can tell
group
you
email.
that I am one of the recipients of them, because I see that when it comes through, it's not necessarily addressed to me, but I am one of the emails I suppose it's forwarded to. It's.
The question is asked, Mike, because I send it to the site that was designated in
Right.
the past, previous boards. That was set up, it went to every board member, and usually the president answered, or whoever it was,
Right.
but I got an answer. I've sent dozens of emails, and I'm not talking about personal, I'm talking about things that I felt affect the community that were never acknowledged. Okay, I'm not gonna beat it to death, but again,
The one thing I will mention, Charlie, and this is really true for anybody. So I work in service to the HOA. I am not an employee of the HOA. However, the HOA, you're collectively First Service Residential's client. You're my client. A question that's posed to the Board of Trustees, I'm not going to answer unless the trustees tell me answer it, as a matter of respect and protocol. So if an email's going out and I'm one of the people that it's sent to, but trustees are sent to it, I will generally defer the response unless they tell me, please answer this. So that's happened a couple times when people send a note to the board and me, and I've got the answer, but I feel it's maybe disrespectful or discourteous to just respond and not allow the trustees to do so. And there's occasions when they say, please provide some content for this question. And I do, no problem, I'm happy to. But I don't know, and we can certainly find out the workflow as to who's getting them, and sounds like who's not. Let's figure that out and fix that so it's corrected moving forward. What I can tell you is that the group of folks you see sitting up here are very accountable. They want to help, they want to contribute, they want to do work and answer. Diana's very diligent in taking your questions. If she doesn't have answers, you got to see the list of I see her handwriting here is already 3 or 4 pages in, and she'll go back to our staff accountants and she'll get answers for you for the next meeting. So it's not for a lack of want. They just may not be getting them. So let's fix that.
Okay. Can I ask one more question?
As long as the people behind you don't mind.
No, great, I'll sit back, there are 2 there.
We're here, no worries.
My name is Himanshi McCann. I'm from 40 Ethan Allen Drive. I was watching this-
4
40.
Ethan? 4C?
40.
Oh, 40, thank
40.
you. 40, thank you, sorry.
I was watching meeting at home, and I thought I heard you guys say that going forward, internet will be included in HOA? Wow. Okay. So I just had to, if I heard it right, I said, I have to come on and tell you, thank you. I don't know how you guys managed it, but it kind of gonna save me almost $100 a month.
How much, I'm sorry?
100.
You were 100 a month. Your bill, your for internet was 100.
Right.
Okay.
And you know, it was a lot more, but I had called up Xfinity, and I said to them, look, I'm a senior citizen, I can't afford all that, you know.
Right.
And they did bring it down to, I think, like with the tax and everything, it's like 99 somethings, which is less than 100.
Right.
Right.
And I mean, I heard you guys say like the HOA is gonna go about 8%.
Right.
Right. However, in my case, I'll be saving.
Great.
Good.
So this is starting January?
Yes.
Okay, well, thank you, guys.
You're welcome.
That's all I'm here for.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And
That's
don't
appreciated.
forget the modem, $15 for the modem.
Right, I know, that is included. And, but like I said, I told Xfinity, I gave them all this, I'm a senior citizen, I can't afford, and, you know, all that. So somebody felt sorry for me and brought it down, you know. So, and I'm happy with whatever we are getting through cable also, because it's a lot of channels, and the amount of TV that I watch, I'm happy. So I'm just glad to hear that this is gonna be part of HOA now.
Yes.
Okay. Well, thank you, guys.
You're welcome.
Have a good holiday.
Thank you, you too. I will add a quick comment to that. The rate of immersion, meaning the rate of units in the community that continue to add internet services, was growing at slightly more than 1% per year. So we gained 5% of internet saturation in the community over the last 4 years. So on that trend, we will exceed 90% of the community if we did not change this in the next term. So by the end of the 5-year term, we would be up to about 92 to 93% of the community. This gets you done. It's 100% of the community starting in January at a fixed rate of $46, including the modem. So it felt like the right time. It felt like almost 9 out of 10 houses are already paying a retail price for the internet, and it felt like an opportunity to consolidate and change. It's a little bit of out-of-the-box thinking, and it'll take you to do a little bit of math to realize your increase and then your deduction and look at what that is out of your bottom line. But a lot of people should realize a modest savings, and in some cases, a significant savings. Thank you. Sir.
I think that was a good explanation. And
Thank you.
I was going to expand on that. Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Basically, the internet service has been costing us around $35 a month in our maintenance. Now we're going up to about $82. So our maintenance, just for internet alone, is increasing 40 some odd dollars. We're having a 8% increase in maintenance. Is that right? 7.99.
Yes.
So does that mean that maintenance, is that including the cable?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, then that makes sense. Yeah, I'm good. Thanks.
Thank you.
Hi, Michelle Lieberson, 55B Ethan Allen Drive. Hopefully just a quick question and a quick answer. Again, clarifying the Xfinity package. The TV package as it stands now will remain the same
Correct.
station? So that's not changing?
Nothing changes on TV.
And it's just the internet, which should save money for basically everyone. My question is the speed of the internet, because they've upgraded us through the years. If we're at a higher speed, do we pay the difference or do we maintain what we have?
You'd be getting a gig speed. If your particular requirement, yeah, but if there's something above that
I don't even know what I have. I know they keep upgrading and it works fast, but.
Yep.
This is probably higher than what you have.
Okay, I don't know I just know it works, but, so thank you again. It's
You're
nice
welcome.
to hear. Bye-bye.
Thank you. No problem. Thank you.
Sorry, one
Sure.
last question.
What do you got?
Frank Maffa, 6 Ingram Drive. Just before tonight, Michael, you sent out a news bulletin saying that the heating was not working
Yeah.
in the two-room.
The billiards room and the card room, a pulley on the rooftop unit broke. It was disabled last week. It became uncoupled and the belt spun out of hand.
And you
and that
mentioned
was it.
we have to repair that?
Yes.
Aren't we replacing it? Well, why?
No. So there are 14 or 15 rooftop units on this building. This
Oh,
is a
great.
large, yes, sir, very large structure, and that one only serves those 2 rooms, and that pulley failed, and that's equipment. You have, I think it's 14, and plus the dehumidification unit is 15 rooftop units that serve the entire clubhouse.
Okay.
It's a lot. It's quite frankly, anybody wants to tour the roof, come on, I'll take you up. It's a really tight shaft to climb up, but I'm happy to show you. But yes.
The new system that we're getting is not replacing these other units.
Nope. The one, we are getting 2 different units. One is for right outside this
Right.
hallway here,
Yes.
and the other one sits directly over the pool itself,
Okay.
and it provides dehumidification. It's supposed to provide heat as well. Both components have failed. The new unit that will go in will be dehumidification, heat, and air conditioning. It's going to transform your indoor pool environment.
I want to ask another question.
Sure.
That somebody else didn't want to come up in there.
No problem.
So, with the golf contract that we had, we are supposed to be getting some funds back from the management company, the golf management company, if their revenue meets some sort of threshold. Have we done any studies on whether we're getting any money back?
So this, not to be coy, this is still an open item.
Okay.
What we've observed is the costs to the HOA have gone down significantly, but they have been less than transparent in having to sit down with us to discuss year-end books and the revenue share on the portion of the agreement that would apply to.
Okay.
So we've got a working relationship that is getting better. It suffered a little bit of interpersonal harm
Okay.
from some prior interactions, but the folks over at the golf course that operate it are aware of their contractual obligations. We're scheduled to sit down in December as they're closing out their season's books, and we will have we're gonna have a professionals, I don't want to say gentlemen's because that's inappropriate, but a professionals conversation, and they know full well that the HOA's attorney is ready to attend,
Okay.
should we not succeed in being one-on-one professional with them.
But we're still obligated to some sort of provide them with funds for operating the sprinkler
We
system.
have a tremendous amount of financial obligation there from the HOA as far as the pump house maintenance and management,
Okay.
the pond water quality management, that does fall on the HOA. They have shouldered some of that expense. We have seen fewer expenses pass through, and I believe that's potentially an attempt to offset some of their revenues, but I can't tell you this definitively. It
There's
just-
no sunset to that. We're going to have
the-
to keep
the-
on paying.
So I've looked at this, frankly. It's a tri-party easement that was created between the township, the golf entity, and the HOA.
Okay.
And there is a termination, and that is if the HOA was to find an alternate water source for its irrigation. We have very little land for us to create a retention pond anywhere.
Yeah.
So the
That
reality...
would create a nightmare. To
It
find
would
a-
be a logistical nightmare. The piping that runs throughout the community, there's no way to, you would have to abandon it all and basically get out of the current irrigation process as we know it. That would be very costly just to try and reorganize how to create irrigation here. And you have unfortunately way too much ground, way too large of areas of grounds that require this. The discussion at a surface level has come up. If the HOA could tolerate the potential to cease irrigation from the ponds, and we find no reasonable way to get that done and maintain the vitality and the beauty of the community at the same time. So it seems we're kind of, to your point, we're in a perennial sunset, and it's never gonna quite go down on us. However, we got here, we're here, maybe we'll see another opportunity that poses itself. I don't know, nor do I profess to know the answer. I just know that Applied Golf and the gentleman Dave was saying has been a gentleman with me, and I expect to have more meaningful discussions with him and a greater return to the HOA in short time. Stay tuned. I don't have anything greater than that right now.
Thank you.
Good question, though, by the way. Thank
Okay.
you.
And wishing everybody a happy holiday.
Same here,
because
sir.
We don't meet.
And same to all of you. Thank you all. If there's nothing else, folks, thank you so much for coming out tonight. Please get home safely. And thank you. Well done.